What up, Herd? Welcome to another episode of My Favorite with our friends at CBSI. And we are going to be talking about our favorite DC villains. Before we get started, we got to do a little roll call. Jeff, how you doing? How's your Friday night going?
Better now that I'm done with work. Always better. Yeah, it's been a very long week. I actually freaked out an hour ago, thought I was late to the show, and realized it was only 6. So, thank goodness I was early instead of late.
Yes,
Awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, let's say hi to our special guest here, Chris, over at ComicsRGreat.
What is up? Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited I love doing my favorite stuff, so this will be fun to participate with some of the experts at it. So thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. What about you, Ben? How are you doing this Friday evening? Or
Well,
Friday night for you?
Friday. Yeah, what the hell's the difference between evening and night? Wait a minute. I'm good. Same old same. I'm excited. We're going to rock the favorites. It's going to be fun. What's good, Rob?
Ate too much Del Taco, so I'm fucking stuffed. But
5 minutes.
Nah, forget that shit. So yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I'm excited for the show. Definitely, yeah. DC villains. I might have accidentally picked this topic by accident here, but I'm not the best at DC villains, but I'll do my best. So let's move it on back to Alonso.
You know what, Big Rob? If a couple things. One, if we know that you have to leave all of a sudden, we now know why. So thank you for that.
I thought about it for a second too before the show started. Oh man, I should have gone.
And then also,
No wonder he said he wasn't ready. He wasn't joking.
Oh, and you know what? I think like all of us here on the panel aren't really great, or maybe not, but I feel like we're not really great DC spec guys. You know, I mean. Or I could be wrong.
On for yourself there, sir.
Oh,
You got King Golden Age over here.
Ben, I'm gonna look forward to what you got tonight, man. It's gonna be awesome, I'm sure.
We'll have fun.
Of course. But before we get into all of this, just want to give a few shout outs. Really quick nod to our Team Nerd Herd moderators. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Something Wong and Deanime. You make this live chat fire. Love you guys. Thank you for all you do. And then also got to give another shout out to our DJs, DJ Abomination and Plainclothes D. Thank you for those lovely beats. We really appreciate it. And then just let's do a quick walk down the chat. So we already mentioned Deanime and Something Wong, Fuzzy Dunlap. How you doing? Hopefully again you get better, feel better. Nicole, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you stopping by. And of course, Sheena, as always, a pleasure to have you here on the chat. Lord Chucks, what is going on? Thank you for swinging by. We also have, Jeff, what are you doing?
Nothing.
You're on the show. I mean, I don't get it.
I like talking to you all the time. I like talking to other people.
Uzumaki, thank you for joining. It's been a bit, right? Appreciate you. Also, Inja Binja, thank you for swinging by. Again, hopefully it's a Friday night. Hopefully you didn't have too much stuff going on. And also Nicholas Goltra, thank you for stopping by. And can't forget Steve.
I was going to say Steve's in there.
Yep. How's it going, Steve?
What up?
And GT Key Comic, what is going on? Thank you for coming by the chat. Appreciate you. All right, and that is all right now. But as we'll definitely shout you guys out throughout the entire show. And again, thank you guys for coming on this live chat. We really appreciate it. Let's just get started. So, this is my chance to show what are my favorite DC villains. So, first off, this shouldn't be Batgirl. This should be Villains United in One. The first appearance of Ragdoll. I really like this character because this character is odd. This person is just doesn't fit into your kind of niche of a villain, but he is extremely dangerous and loony. I mean, that's what you kind of need with a villain. And then, of course, Poison Ivy. Sheena knows how much I love Harley and Poison Ivy. I think they're a great team, and I love her powers and her character. I mean, she's just a fantastic villain. And then also, Brainiac. I think we need more Brainiac. We haven't really gotten a Brainiac on the big screen or one that's really in an animated series that's really, really well done. And I'm talking about like the robot with the tentacles. I mean, going crazy, kind of like the Matrix, because essentially that's what he is, right? I mean, he takes all of these planets and puts them in little bottles and does little weird things to them. I think it would be great. But my pick or my spec pick is actually Ragdoll. I mean, Gail Simone's run on Secret Six was unprecedented. It was so good. And Ragdoll was one of the stars of this series. And if you're talking about trying to get a character that doesn't require too much CGI, you know, it doesn't have all this outrageous powers, Ragdoll is it. And Ragdoll can be on any show or any movie. I mean, we're talking about, it could be in Suicide Squad. It could be like on Batman. I mean, Ragdoll can be anywhere. So I really enjoyed this character. And again, it heavily influenced by Gail Simone. On the panel, what do you guys think about this character?
Well, Ragdoll was actually on the Arrow show.
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
played by a YouTuber who happened to have gotten the role because of his not a YouTuber, a YouTuber that was on like some competition show on TV. You know, some like
all those weird people. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I remember him.
yeah. He was on one of those shows.
Uh-huh.
You know, and the producer liked what they saw, and he was perfect for Ragdoll. He was weird. He was a contortionist.
Yeah.
So he contorted, and he didn't actually speak. I think they used somebody else to be his voice. Maybe Todd. What's his name? He's a very famous Candyman. I think he was the voice. So yeah, it was a very weird, and you're right, creepy, weird, dangerous type of villain. He could fit into a little box. He could fit through vents. He'd sneak up right behind you from above you. He was pretty freaky when he was on the Arrow show. Honestly, it was pretty.
He was
pretty
one
weird.
of my favorite characters. Like, I remember that. Like, I didn't realize it was by then it was like, oh, who really cares about CW Spec? But but that character was, I could see, and I can even see using him later on, just the way that was presented. That's awesome. I didn't make that connection.
Can we go back for a second? I mean, Brainiac was on a Superman animated series. He's pretty dope
Yes.
in that cartoon. I don't know what you talk about that. He not really in a animation. He's pretty dope, man.
And they used him on Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
So the show that was on FX.
Yeah, but the show only lasted for how long? Like
2 seasons.
like 2 seasons, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
But they haven't done him justice.
Yeah,
Honestly, he is. Look, so when we started talking about DC villains, right, and picking them, I told you over text, I was like, can you guys pick first? Because there's so many, right? And especially, I just wanted to narrow it down, and Brainiac would have definitely been one of my picks had you not picked him. So he's one of those villains that Superman he can't fight with just his brawn, with just his powers that he's given, right, by the sun. Brainiac is so much smarter, so much more intelligent. He's from the future, like there's all kinds of things that he's
like Kang almost in a
basically
way.
He's basically a Kang. And what he says, what he said earlier, that he takes cities to preserve, and he shrinks them, and he bottles them all. and he's just a machine that's going around the universe, bottling everything up and destroying everything. So he's preserving but destroying all at the same time, which is freaky. It's just genocide.
But yeah, go back and watch Superman animated series. Underrated cartoon, I think.
But would
Amen.
you pull in Brainiac though as the good guy? Because wasn't it Brainiac 5? And
So you would have, so that's a different version, right? Because he would be from the Legion,
mhm.
which he'd be from the future as well, and he's just a descendant of this Brainiac, of the major villain Brainiac, and he's I guess evolved, and
done weekly in the Arrowverse, like
yeah,
poorly.
he's a Supergirl.
Yep.
But it was not done. It was not executed well. It was like there's not been a really good Brainiac, but there's not been a really good Superman movie either. To be fair,
Yep. So you just figure that these guys all have these great imaginations for being creators, and somehow they can't connect to Superman. And I get it, because he's a god, right? How many humans can connect to a god?
True.
And that's why it's hard to make the DC universe.
Okay.
What were you saying, Ben? I'm sorry.
no, I'm talking over you. I apologize. I just mumbled. Batman beat his ass.
I know.
There you go.
Martha.
Oh no! Don't go there.
All right. So going down now to Big Rob. Big Rob, tell us a little bit about your favorite DC villains.
All right, I'll start with my Batman villains, because the Batman villains row of villains, whatever term you want to use. They're a bunch of them. They're awesome. Everybody loves them, and they're hard to beat. They're like Spider-Man villains. They're really just really good villains to carry a story. I picked Mr. Freeze and Bane. Echo. I hear an echo.
You're okay.
All right, but it's throwing me off. Sorry. All right, but yeah,
It must be the Del Taco. That's what I'm thinking.
It's definitely the Del Taco.
I hear it. It was Mr. Freeze and Bane, because I picked them basically. There you go. Because I love the Batman animated series. They were really cool characters in the cartoon. They were just awesome characters. Of course, they're famous for their storylines as well on DC Comics. Mr. Freeze goes all the way back to Silver Age. Bane is a more recent character. He's from the late 80s, early 90s, when he broke the back, right? He broke his fucking back. So he's a dope-ass character. The book in the middle for Bane is his first appearance. That Mr. Freeze is a holiday special. I just love that cover. It just really makes him look like a badass, I think. Of course, there's also a first appearance from the Silver Age, but a lot of people are priced out on that book. So it's hard to get. So this is, I think, a nice second, second price winner there. So I definitely love these books, and I love these characters. That was definitely some of my favorites. As Flash, you want to go to the next slide there, Alonzo. He's going to be my spec pick. Well, the Flash book, but it's actually Zoom, and not Professor Zoom. Because they're Reverse Flash, whatever you want to call him, because he's the second iteration of basically the same character. He's going to be a key character. Maybe not a key character, but he might be a character, I could say. And then that Flashpoint Flash movie coming up here in the future, or I know Michael Keaton's going to be in it, and a couple other characters. I believe somehow he might be in the film. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think getting his first appearance as this version of the Reverse Flash Zoom would be a good idea for going forward. It's pretty cheap buy. I forget, $30-$50 maybe, maybe a little higher, but around that price range. And I always loved the Reverse Flash or Zoom, whatever you want to call him. He was when I didn't watch that shitty Flash show on CW, I enjoyed him in that first season. I just enjoyed I believe it was the second season. I can't remember, but yeah, I just enjoyed that character, and he's always been cool in the animations and in the books, and he's just a great foil for the Flash, and I definitely be awesome to see him in that future Warner Brothers film for Flash.
So wait, is this Solomon Hunter or Eobot Thawne?
Zoom is help on this one. I don't know. I can't remember.
I
think
think it. I
He's
think
the
it's Bart.
he's the second variation, right? He's the second version of this character because the first one is Professor Zoom, right? From the Silver Age, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, I believe so. I think he's the second version. So
Yeah, he's the second version. Yeah, Zoom. They just call him Zoom, not Professor Zoom. So
Hunter Zolomon.
Hunter
Hunter
Solomon.
Solomon. There you go.
Hunter Zolomon. He's the one that's from Secret Files. Like he appears in Secret Files, that Hawk Girl
Oh yeah, that like
appearance too.
that one
Yeah,
little like,
yeah, it's like a
panel
micro appearance before this monster. But
as a person, but this is the first time you see him as Zoom.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if they pick a Zoom, I think they'll pick him, and that's the one that might end up in a film for the going forward here for Warner Brothers. So I don't know if they'll go back to the Silver Age version, but
It's a great little story to pick up, but all 3 issues in this little run. And if you ever catch a flash run, which sometimes you do at a back issues, this book is always gone, but usually the first 2 before it as well. Or like you'll see a run, you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be no, it's gone. The one book, it's sort of like going to finding a Wonder Woman run and all the Hughes covers are gone. Like this is the one that's always gone in a run of Flash.
Well, yeah, right, because he's a popular character. People love this character. They just love him. He's that foil to the Flash, you know. It's as fast as the Flash, or sometimes even faster. So,
And also smarter because he's from the future.
Yep.
another Kang type, right? Another
Nah.
some of that. Yeah, he has that same vibe. So, but yeah,
Cool.
those are my picks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. What about you, Jeff? You are up. What are your favorite DC villains?
Okay, so you have the Flash 137 here, and this is the first appearance of Vandal Savage. He is basically immortal. He is supposedly the first immortal. He became immortal because he found a meteor when he was a caveman and touched it and absorbed it and just became immortal, had powers. He is a nasty villain. He's almost, again, I hate to use this damn word because we've been using it all night, but he's another Kang kind of character.
There's a lot of them, right?
Yeah, because
Kang is a verb
gets
now.
Kang
he
today.
fights like every version of like the League, right? So I mean, he's a villain throughout time. He fights everybody. He teams up with all kinds of villains. Then you've got Batman 609, and everybody probably knows who this is. This is Hush. One of the greatest Batman villains, one of the greatest stories in Batman history, where he sends off all these villains after him. I mean, it's a nasty, brutal story. And then you've got Mr. Miracle #2, which I just happened to pick up this week. And luckily, it's the first appearance of Granny Goodness, and she has a lot to do with a lot of different characters. She's Darkseid's minion. She creates the Fighting Furies. She tortures Mr. Miracle. I mean, she is connected to like all those new gods. Her story is she's just a cruel, nasty woman, and all these characters they're just so brutal in that sense that's why I like these kind of characters. And for my spec, it's I'm not going to go with Captain Obvious, so I'm going to go with Vandal Savage. And the reason why is you can plot him in anywhere in the timeline. You can put him in the history. You can always be in the background. He could always been in the news, because this guy has been around for so long. He's smart, and so he can own a business. He can be, a CEO of some company, and he could be wreaking havoc just as much as, probably better than the guy in Wonder Woman.
He was badass in that Young Justice animation.
Yeah, so the reason why I picked this as a spec is that's the perfect reason. All the animations for DC have been great. Like all the cartoons, you got your Justice Unlimited, you got your Young Justice, all those DC movies. So, and a lot of it surrounded Vandal Savage. He's connected to Darkseid in the Young Justice. He's in Justice Unlimited throughout the whole thing. So it's one of those things where he's connected. They want to use him. They know he's a big villain, and they don't have to throw him away because he's immortal. right? So it's one of those characters where I think the book, it's a little expensive, but it's still within grasp. It's not overly expensive. You can get some mid grades, you can get it raw. It's still going to be affordable within that, a couple $100, I think.
That's not bad.
So
it's because the Golden Age. There's 2 appearances before this, but it's
this is the Silver
Golden
Age
Age stuff that doesn't. Yeah, the Golden Age stuff doesn't. I don't know. I think that's a great pick. That's a great pick.
I think the Golden Age one is like 5,000.
That's the problem. DC's funky with you know what I mean? Like Mr. Freeze. I almost said something when Rob was talking. Mr. Freeze shows up in Batman 121, which is like 54 or 55, and then doesn't come back until Detective 363.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he's Mr. Freeze. In 121, he's Dr. Freeze.
Right.
So many Batman villains. Death. Will Smith.
Deathshot.
Jesus Christ!
Deathshot.
All of us are like, fuck it, I don't know. Winnie the Pooh. Who is it? Appears in an early Batman issue before that 474 detective. So, random DC fun for those who like Golden Age stuff.
Do you think
saw something wrong in here?
Do you think that Vandal Savage, though, his reputation was damaged by Legends of Tomorrow? Because they did an entire 2 seasons with him being the baddie for the entire season. Zoom from Flash was a little bit different.
5 years in Gotham.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't hurt Batman.
So when I picked these books, I did consider the CW shows, because I mean it does kind of ruin Spec, and it kind of ruins his characters, and the fact that they've been used, maybe they won't be used in the movies. So I mean, but right now I think Warner Brothers is reshifting. I think they are readjusting what they're doing, because now they have HBO Max. They can utilize a different version of higher quality. So the new Superman show on CW is actually a combination of HBO Max money and CW money, right? So that's the tester. That was the tester for it. And if you notice, it's a way better quality than any of these other CW shows, right? At least visually.
I like CW shows for what it's worth too.
I watched them all, so
hell yeah.
I'm guilty. But that's why, I know about it, and I did wonder. But again, movie-wise, they're shifting gears, they're changing everything. It's an open world for them. They can pick whatever they want right now.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, I like that point, because especially when you hear about how the Flash movie's being made, and you start going, okay, I sort of I wasn't big on the Flash person that you chose, but I'm starting to go, yeah, I can get behind. Okay, you're going with the Flashpoint story, which opens up everything, because that sets up if you want to do connected, or say screw connected. Let's just do small stories. Let's do Vandal Savage behind the scenes later on for Flash, or let's do, instead of being a big, huge connected world. So,
yeah, when we were talking about it backstage too, we mentioned Elseworlds, and how I think Jeff had mentioned that Elseworlds is the best part of the DC universe. So we could totally get something like that.
And just to go back to that whole Zoom thing, I know you want it to be Spec. I heard the rumor that the villain in the Flash movie is the Flash. It's a future Flash.
Reverse Flash?
It's him.
Yeah,
it's Ezra Miller.
Him?
Yeah,
Ezra?
it's like him from the future coming back as an evil Flash.
Oh god.
So I'm holding out hope still that that's not true.
Well, they could say that initially, right, for the film, but they could
say he's
Zoom. Yeah,
right. That he made himself look like him, because in the CW show he had technology to make himself look like other people.
And he got frozen that way.
For what it's worth, too, CW shows for a very long time, they generated money on books. I remember fucking Peekaboo, that Flash 87 or whatever. When that book's hitting, everything's gravy, dude.
Avatar or whatever, that book.
Oh yes, Avatar.
All that nonsense was just awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Flash, it's because Flash, like Supergirl and that shit, whatever, man. It is what it is. Arrow I enjoyed, but it didn't move any books.
Yeah.
Flash, people enjoyed it. It was campy as fuck, and people like that.
And
That's what made these appearances go up and stay up, except for Felicity. Green Arrow, that 23 went way up. First Felicity went way up because of that show.
Well,
But that's the actress. She was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah, she
CW
was.
hurts Spec too much because it's such a small niche audience is really watching the CW. They're in
It's
karaoke.
Jeff and I.
Yeah, basically, yeah. The hardcore really is watching CW.
But I think CW will influence Spec 2 or 3 years from now. Because if you grew up watching Flash and you were a teenager, when you hit, because I mean, we were all the same. I didn't really buy books for money until I made money. So, like, these kids are going to be in college and out of college going, you know what, I'm going to buy an issue of Flash because now I want to get the first appearance of Zoom or Professor Zoom
or Killer Frost or Vibe or right, like those are your memories, those are your childhood, those are your
Wild
shows.
Dog.
Wild Dog, yeah.
So CW's not gonna hurt.
All right, Ben. So you're up next. So what are
Mine is
your
so like
favorite?
you guys are all outside the box, and I appreciate it. I was just like, wait, what? Pick what? Man, all right.
I knew you had to.
I couldn't. Well, I mean, like, whenever I get a chance to show off the 69, I'm like, well, did you know? Joker, you can't go wrong. Joker's been good in everything from Mark Hamill to Heath, right? Detective 69 is one of the greatest Joker covers, period. The end. It is his third cover appearance ever after was it Batman 11? That other detective,
that's past me.
And then Detective 40 or whatever it is doesn't count because it's Clayface being the Joker, which is weird and down the rabbit hole. But Ra's al Ghul, you can't go wrong. Liam Neeson, what's his tits on Arrowverse? Great versions, right? Like, and then Poison Ivy. I like Uma. I like Poison Ivy. I like Silver Age Poison Ivy. And that's my spec pick. And that's because this book hasn't begun. I've been saying it for 5 years. This, Detective 359, Teen Titans 45, the Bumblebee appearance, all that DC superhero girl stuff. My kids grew up with that. I have 2 daughters, now they're 11 and 8. They're not really as into it as they were when they were younger. But they're still into comics, and they've held on to Harley, Batgirl, Ivy. This book is grossly undervalued for a book that intentionally was made incomplete. Way more than a Marvel stamp on a 181.
That stupid centerfold.
Yeah.
This book, as soon as she hits that DC Batman verse that they're trying to create, because all these Batman books are going to be, it's going to be X-Men all over again when people are like, oh shit. Oh, I didn't know. You're like, well, you're a fucking idiot because it's been sitting there the whole time. Like, that's like when Kang was announced and everyone knew Kang was coming and 8-0s were like $1,200. What? Now they're like $6,000. That's what's going to happen here. So, sorry, I get into this.
I love Ivy.
Proving your point.
Great character.
I have like 8 copies of it too. That's why I'm invested heavily.
If you would like one, they're going up by the minute. No.
On Whatnot.
Signed by Infantino. There's like 5 SS ever.
Oh,
show it again.
Yes, please.
702, huh?
Oh.
Jeez.
Wow,
Nice.
that is awesome.
It's a nice 7. This is a
Don't
very
forget
nice one.
the 49 in the background there.
69. It's like a hard 1-1-5.
Doesn't matter. You own
But it's complete where it needs to be complete.
Look, you have it.
So yeah, I got it years ago at a show. I traded like FF45 and like a Captain Marvel. Marvel Superheroes 13. And that shit all got hot, and I was sitting on stacks, and I was just like, "I'll trade you here. Give me your Joker, fucker."
Yeah, for as long as I can remember, Poison Ivy has been a completely undervalued, underrated book. I've had so many opportunities to buy this, and I kind of regret not getting could have got so many different copies of this. Raw, just any comic book convention, they were just sitting there. No one cared to look at it.
They were cheap.
Yeah, hella cheap.
And I mean, how often do you get cover appearance, first appearance like this? Like that's the
Especially
thing, too.
back then.
Yeah, I mean, like Harley had sort of the same deal, but like most of these books, you're like, wait, you mean the first appearance is right there on the cover? I mean, you can't beat that. That's just awesome.
Beautiful red.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hard book to get a high grade, though. That's for sure.
But you gotta like Robin's face. I don't know what's going on, but he is
enthusiastic.
He's upset. Looks like he got the mumps or some shit.
And you don't remember
Taco. That's what I'm
this.
thinking.
This has the centerfold. That's a poster. People literally like. You remove the poster, man. That's why there's so many green labels of this.
I know my copy's missing the centerfold. So
it's always either missing or in there loose.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is a great pick. I'm kind of curious to see what Chris has. So, Chris, what do you got for us?
All right, so I went with Hush as well. It's just the storyline, period. Like if you haven't read the Hush storyline, it's amazing. 609 is the first appearance of Thomas Elliot, who it's a great where he's like, you never get defined whether or not he is Bruce Wayne's brother throughout the entire arc. This 608 that he's showing here, if you ever find it, this is the Grail. Well, to take that back, this is the Grail you can afford. This is the second print of 608. The Grail is the retailer appreciation cover.
The Jim Lee, right?
Yeah.
The Jim Lee that's freaking
Yep.
$2,000, $3,000. It's just it's right up there with the Saga retail appreciation. Actually, I think it's above the Saga retail one. But great story if you haven't read it. There are newsstands of all of these. So that's right when newsstands started dropping off, and these are the newsstands that are in the 10% instead of being in the 50-50 split. So they're definitely, I think there might be 1%. Great if you can pick them up. The 608 second print's really hard to find. It's a $60 book. First print, 10 to 15. I love the story. I think this is one of those stories that Snyder's run that we're going to talk about in a second got me back into it. But this is the run I went back in. I had the trade, I had the hardback, I had the entire run, and I go back and reread it because it's such a good story. It has that 609 cover is gorgeous. I mean, if you want Catwoman and Poison Ivy on a cover, that's one of those covers just to have. I love it. Second book here is Aquaman. Personally, I love the second appearance of Black Manta more, but this covers the first appearance. Second appearance is the one where he's holding Aquaman above his head. And if you're a key collector, because none of us use key collector, but we all do, they just put out the Black Manta's coming back, or he's going to be in the second movie. So worth picking up these covers if they're they're not cheap anymore, but they're well, it's all depends on your version of cheap. They're in the $100 range. $50 really, really beat up, but gorgeous. I love him as a bad guy, but I like him even more because he's the father of the Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
That is they just started the new series featuring him.
Yeah.
So he is gonna still be important, and I think that dynamic, and I could easily see. I would love to see that brought in to the next Aquaman movie. That feature of, okay, let's do Aqualad, who eventually takes on the mantle of Aquaman. I think that all that connection is very important. And then the last issue here is Bloom. If you didn't read Snyder's run, we sort of talked about Court of Owls a little bit. Snyder's entire run is the only thing out of the New 52, and Alonzo and I talked about that. That's the one series that people still look back on and try to collect. The rest of the New 52, I'm actually working on an article right now talking about you basically have a cat litter feed right now, and the bottoms of the rest of the New 52 books are really not worth. There's a few, but not many.
Jessica Cruz.
Yeah.
Just a few Green Lantern ones here and there.
Yeah, but it's few and far between. I mean, as hot as that series was, Batman's one of the few, but we talked about Batman 1 went from being a $150 book, now it's a $40 book. Like 9/8 still up there, but it's a little different. Bloom is a character that this is when the New 52 was dying, but he's a bad guy who's a drug dealer who gives out pills that make you feel like superheroes and gives you powers. And I mean, how awesome and easy could that be to convert into a story? And then he's just so creepy looking. I mean, this is Capullo. I can never say his name. Capullo doing his best Spawn character drawing at his best. I mean, that's what it feels like, especially if you open up the book and look at some of the panels. So I really liked it. And also the second issue, the one that follows this 44, is Jock, and I'm a huge Jock fan. And Jock is the origin of Mr. Bloom. So 43 is the first appearance, 44 is the origin, and it's a beautiful Jock cover if you haven't seen it. And Jock and Snyder is just a great pairing, period. But so Bloom is my spec play. That's a long down the road, but this is hey, I can find this in a dollar bin spec play. Yep. So I always like to throw those out because that's where I do 90% of my shopping is in the dollar bins or back issue bins.
Hey, Chris, you had mentioned about this character that creates essentially superheroes. They did a show like that on Netflix with Jamie Foxx. Powers, yeah. And if DC could do something like that, oh my God, it would be amazing.
Well, don't they already have Superman's blood? Star Labs. So I'm saying, what's impossible, right? They can create Superboy now. They can, somebody can get a hold of it and create a drug.
See, the only downside to Batman or Bloom, if you bring him into Batman's world, how many Batman fanboys would be pissed that you bring in Bloom before you bring in Mr. Freeze, the list of the better rogue gallery that we all know. Because this is Batman Rogue is actually a rogue for Jim Gordon. Because Jim Gordon was Batman during this storyline.
That fucking robot with 20 years.
20 years.
This shit was weird. This whole run was incredible. This is what got me back into comics as an adult, and what created me flipping was Batman 1s being worth $10 when they were on the shelves for $3. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
Look, if it wasn't for this Batman run, I wouldn't have been collecting. I wouldn't have my first Miles. So for cover price,
There you go.
Yeah,
but it's funny that you said that after around this run area pinpoint of this Batman run, people started leaving New 52, because I did leave Batman around 44, 45. I got tired of it. It's moved on, but
yeah. Well,
I get tired at 19, but I stayed on.
Yeah. Well, it was just a pull. And it was like, oh, and then you go back through and read it. But yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, definitely still affordable.
It's a great pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And well, as you guys know, we have our community, my favorite. So we are going to start with my favorite 80s action movie, and it doesn't have to be one that's presented here on the slide. So Ben, if you would do the honors, would you like to go first?
I don't know if I just watched Karate Kid with my oldest, but man, I used to rent Bloodsport.
Oh,
every fucking time.
That was my favorite movie, Ben.
Dude, the spot, right in the nuts. You can still taste it.
Okay, USA.
Yeah. And what's his tits from Revenge of the Nerds?
Oh, Ogre?
Yes.
Fucking Ogre is
I used to rent this in WrestleMania 4 and 6. Every time I'd go stay at my grandparents' house, those 3 movies would run the week, just over and over.
2 tapes on WrestleMania 4, dude.
I love it. Oh my goodness! What about you, Chris?
Great category.
Oh,
well, you threw up all the ones I would immediately think of, but one that would always pop on TV, and I end up watching and just get sucked into. And there was 10 of them. Your Bloodsport reminded me of it. The American Ninjas.
Oh my God!
Oh my goodness!
The stupid white guy can defeat everyone, and you're like, he's an American ninja.
What's his name? Dukoff? I think it's his last name.
I think so. Yeah, he. My favorite scene is where he fights the black army sergeant who thinks he's badass, and he fights him with the hose and the bucket on his head, and you're just like, what the hell is this? American Ninja. It was the greatest because there was 6 of them or 4 of them or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I used to love those kung fu, the really bad kung fu movies that always came on Fox. In my neck of the woods, it was Fox in the Saturday afternoons. You can catch them all.
Was it like Three Ninja, Surf Ninja?
Oh my
Oh
god.
no, you're going
There's
no,
so
not
many other
Oh,
movies.
that's trash.
That's no American Kickboxer was the other one,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Bloodsport. Yeah, they're all just great. And Cyborg.
That those from Canon, right? That production company called Canon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. What about you, Jeff?
Oh boy, I'm an '80s kid, so I watched all of these movies actually, every single one of these. Karate Kid probably. I mean, if you can call it an action movie. Oh, did I pick Rob's pick? I'm sorry, Rob.
Oh yeah, he left. No, you know what? It's
My
still
bad.
Taco.
I done pissed him off.
It's still
He doesn't
Taco.
even, he's out.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta go.
He's going to show us a crane kick here in a second.
No, I mean, Karate Kid is what got me
Not my pick.
to take karate. It got me to take martial arts. I actually avoided it because I'm Asian. I didn't want to be stereotyped. You know, I was getting picked on enough as a kid. You know, I had enough shit on me.
You got to
So-
sweep the fucking leg.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so you know, I learned how to. It taught me to go do karate and taekwondo, and my first fight, I punched somebody and his lips went right through his teeth. So, you know,
Not going to pick on you now. Okay.
no one picked on me after that. But yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. You got Pat Morita. You got the continuation now with the nostalgia of Cobra Kai. I mean,
Yep.
how can you go wrong with this movie? It's a fun, good. I mean, the soundtrack was awesome. The actor, the actresses, everybody who are in it are either they were funny, they were good.
The toys were awesome.
Oh gosh, everything was awesome
The
about
video
this.
game
I
is
still remember
awesome.
Yes. I mean, honestly, this movie kicked off a whole rush of like people going to take martial arts and a lot of martial arts tournaments. It actually kicked it off. There was a lot going on in the 80s at that time in martial arts because of this movie. So it's inspirational movie. It's a fun time, good time, comedy, action. I mean, that's why I was like, it's action, but it's more comedy.
Meh. No, it's definitely an action movie. That's how it was categorized. So you got it. How about you, Big Rob? Did they steal your movie?
Mr. Kayagi.
No, I was not going to pick Bloodsport because I already mentioned that in a different episode, right? So that is my favorite movie of all time, Bloodsport.
Oh, wow.
But for another film that I love to death, and it's probably number 2 or 3 on my list of all time, and it's going to throw you guys off. I love Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I'm also a big Trek guy. I love Star Trek. And how I fell in love with Star Trek is my dad took me to Kmart back in the late 80s. And Kmart used to have a spinner rack that they would sell VHS tapes. And I saw a VHS tape there for Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Is that the whale one?
Yeah, the
Whales.
whale.
Yeah, the time traveling one.
Kang!
Because I
It all
see
comes back around. It's Kang.
no, it's not. That's Kang's part 2. I see part 2 here on your list. That's an awesome film. It's definitely my number 2 on my list for Star Trek films. But Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home, it's actually directed by Leonard Nimoy. He actually directed it, and it actually has a good message about saving the whales and shit. But it's so funny. That movie, if you really just sit down and watch it, it's so hilarious. The dialogue is just funny as fuck. William Shatner is like so over the top funny. He's not trying to be funny, but he's just funny as hell. Leonard Nimoy, he's the perfect straight-faced straight guy to William Shatner is over the top acting. Scotty's awesome, and then the whole plot is just bringing whales to the future because there's a giant fucking dildo probe destroying the Earth, and it has to talk to the whales. Need to talk to this probe, tell them to get the fuck out, and that's the whole thing. It's actually the third part of a 3-part series, which starts in Star Trek 2, then Star Trek 3, and this is the last part of the story, Star Trek 4. So it's them coming back home to Earth, and they kind of solve this issue, and it's just so awesome. They go travel back in time to San Francisco, and then they're fish out of water story, how to deal with the local savages of the 1980s. And
Star
I
Trek
love it.
wearing 90s clothes or 80s clothes was funny, dude.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love that film, man. You never seen it? I highly recommend it just for a laugh, dude. It's just great.
Cool. I'm right there with you. And I didn't meant to say Khan. I meant to say Kang.
Oh,
The whole like time travel thing. Since we've been talking about Kang throughout this entire
yeah.
show, I was like, oh well, there you go.
Yeah, another Kang hookup there.
That's right. That's right. For me, it's not what it's one of my favorites for the craziest reason. I like Tango and Cash because Sylvester Stallone as some rich, proper like businessman. I was like, what the hell? It just for me was just hilarious. And then we got that term "foobar," you know, and I was just like, this is,
Kurt Russell, yeah,
this is great. I loved it for that. I liked the banter between the two. I thought it was just great, and the over the top like violence, explosions. I was like, you know what, this is totally 80s. I love it.
it's basically Kurt Russell's same character from Big Trouble in Little China. He just brings it into another film.
Yes.
And don't forget Terry Hatcher, a young Terry Hatcher.
Yeah,
yeah.
she was pretty as hell, too. But Stallone's acting in that film is so bad, but it's so good at the same time.
Right?
It was so bad, dude.
It was. That's why when I look back at it, I'm like, oh my god.
And the villain was Jack Palance with his deep breathing.
It was like city stupid and country stupid together.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
But it's good.
It was really good.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, right? Okay, I'm not alone.
I
I'm not
thought
alone.
Bronson
Thank you.
was
Thank you.
70s.
What was that?
So I thought Charles Bronson was 70s.
Yeah.
Charles Bronson 70s, but his
He
best.
had some 80s.
Some of the
My
Death
favorite-
Wish just made it.
Yeah, Death Wish 3 is my favorite.
You left Adventures in Babysitting off the list.
You could have mentioned it, but that's another action movie.
I was
It's on
underage
Disney Plus. I'm still
for
watching
most
it.
of these movies to watch in the theater.
It's so good.
Elizabeth Shue.
Yep. And Thor.
Yeah, speaking of Karate Kid.
Thor.
What happened?
What was it?
I don't know.
All right. What?
Said Elizabeth Shue and the chat went dead.
We're all thinking back
Everyone's
to
like-
Elizabeth Shue. We're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're all pondering, like, oh yeah, shit.
They're like, oh, is that the girl in that magazine? They're like, no, you're much
The
prettier.
girl leaving Las Vegas.
Somebody mentioned TMNT. Yeah, that 89 film. That's a good film as well.
Well,
Yeah,
all right.
really
So
enjoyed
Ben,
it.
what do you got going on at CBSI?
What don't we have going on? I say that every week, but we always got something new going on. You got to check it out. We got the weekly new comic book day with Chris. The Defects do a show every new comic book day night. We get the Hot 10 every Friday. We have everyone in between that I don't have time to respectfully shout out. So I can't. I fuck it up every time. I forget somebody or one thing. We got so much going on over there. Everyone's awesome. So check out comicbookinvest.com.
And speaking of something awesome,
I'm so happy with these. I really am. They're cheap too. They're $25.
I'm so happy with them too.
Yeah, Jeff bought early and hopefully got a partial refund. If not, it's on its way.
It's
We
all
dropped the
good.
price. And
So that's 2. And
I
then
love
you
it.
got 3.
that's that Casada cover. Our homage, sorry.
And then you got 4, that
I love that one.
Hulk / Deadpool.
So good. The series is so
Homage.
good.
And then, of course, the Pressable Defects one as well.
And that one, boss. Anyone who's read Nottingham's like, oh shit, number 5, I get it. Number
Yep.
2 looks the best, like. And they're $25 for a set. You can't go wrong.
there you go.
And if you
So
bought
you
them
guys-
at 35 in the beginning, I swear to Christ, you're getting a partial refund. So
Wow.
that includes Jeff.
Maybe.
Nice. That's great that you're doing that. And then also too in you guys in the live chat, I did drop the link to head on over to CBSI to take a look at those books and also place an order. So definitely head on over there and check them out. And then Chris, where can we find you?
So you can follow me on Instagram, which is it's under when you see my name pop up. It's 3ComicCBSI _CBSI, and then I have a YouTube as well. You can go there. It's 3Comic Talk. I think it's been a while since I've actually I paused for a little bit, getting things ready. I'm still writing articles. Go to comicbookinvest.com. I do the new comic book day pull list. I also do Fisherman's Tale, and then randomly throw articles out there that surprise Ben. But yeah, I do a little bit of everything. And if you want to, I'd have some of my videos are like Invincible list, like how to see all the first appearances of Invincible, which you can find the article, which on the site, but you can also catch my videos detailing why I go through all 144 issues and talk about where are their first appearances in there. I do that for Oblivion Song and a few other things on the site as well.
Nice.
The Oblivion Song's coming up too, right? Didn't it get optioned?
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for that article, sir, because I knew you wrote that article earlier, so I had that saved, and when that thing went off, I was like, I'm just going to head over to my LCS really quick. I'm just going to pick up these issues real quick.
So I'm going to pick it up the other day for $1 each. All the first appearances of the next, not issue 1, but the rest of them.
Yes.
These are all first appearances.
Nice. All right, and don't forget to sub Chris up. I've dropped the link in the live chat. Just subscribe to his YouTube channel and definitely follow him on his IG account. And don't forget to visit cbsi.com, for all your comic book investment and speculation needs. And here we go. As for us in Team Nerd Herd, we have finally our latest episode of Dropping the Mic with Steve, aka Hip Hops and Me, and he's going to be talking about the first 2 issues of Eat the Rich. And if you've read or heard about it, it is a great read. The art is awesome. It's got a lot of mystery and horror in there. And it's very similar to what's that? Get Out.
Oh.
So I would definitely hit this book up. Take a look. It's going to be Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, where Steve is going to be dropping some knowledge and discussing Eat the Rich.
Did you guys pick up the Error issue 2?
Whoa, there's an error?
I put it back.
Hold on. Let's highlight that guy.
So
I put it back on purpose.
This is issue 2, but they put the wrong issue number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It says the right issue number on the back.
Yeah, the right issue on the back is issue 2, but in the corner. But unless they recall it's not something.
And they're all like that too. I don't think there's anyone that's.
But that's the B cover. So there's an A and a B cover, and then all the different variants.
Awesome, thanks for that. And then we have also Big Rob. You want to talk about our top picks?
Yes, that's sorry. Sunday, September 29th at 7 p.m. It's our top picks show, and that's when we present our weekly top picks of the week coming forward that we think is the good purchase to have for reading purposes or maybe spec purposes. We have a special guest this week with ComicsRGreat, Caroline Comics, and Sparks Comics, and the rest of the Team Herd gang. So definitely stop by, see what we pick, and hang out. We'll also discuss other topics and enjoy the show.
Thanks, Big Rob. And then we have the final part of Blade of the Immortal with Eric the Phoenix and Steve Hip Hops and Me for Fanime Talk. Now this, again, if you are a fan of Ninja Scroll, you're going to love this. You have disembodiment, lots of blood, lots of guts, and the story is so good in this anime, and you can find it on Amazon Prime. But definitely tune in Monday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the show. They're going to be tying it up in a nice little bow for y'all, and Eric might have 1 or 2 surprises that he's going to reveal. And then Jeff, you want to talk about Introspective?
Yeah, so we have our little game show Introspective on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time and 10 p.m. Eastern time. Last week we had 90s Image Heroes, and I believe the Kingpin over there, he picked Witchblade, that high hanging fruit, I guess. Azores, he picked Pit, and I picked Savage Dragon. So right now, I don't check the scores or the votes, so I just try to keep sane because I hate hearing the Kingpin talk his shit all day long, all week long, actually. Even though he loses twice in a row, I don't know, but you guys can still go back, check it out, go vote, leave a vote in the chat, and we'll find out who won next week. And if I win, I become the champion for this season.
That's right. That would be 3 wins in a row. That would be amazing.
That would be weird.
It would be, because you're kind of new at this.
I'm really new at this.
All right, guys. So now it's just your time. Chris, Ben, is there anything else that you guys wanted to let the chat know or people watching the rewind?
Go ahead, Chris. I'll put him on the spot.
No, I mean, like we've already bragged about CBSI and all the, ridiculous things. Guys, if you don't hit CBSI on a Tuesday, you're missing out on several different perspectives, just like you guys do your video where you pick your books. You get the list from me of the variants and the first appearances and just some of my picks. You get the pressable defects video they do. You get, that's within my article. You get our guy Mike Morello doing covers, and he just picks his favorite covers. You get our guy
Morello. I love Morello. He's been on this.
Andy Timberland picks he picks indie spotlight stuff and does the focuses on like Eat the Rich and some great books like that. And then you have the Wednesday at midnight or whenever our guy puts it out there, the Wednesday one, where he usually tries to listen to the last bit of gossip, and then he drops the article and tries to tell you which one might be the one to grab. So that's a great way to jump. And then I tell you the ones I dig for. Whenever Topher drops his articles, the random shit he finds. If you haven't, the True First is amazing. And then I go and find it in the dollar bin and I save it for that moment when, man, I have 30. Oh crap, this is a $50 book now. Now, granted, I also have a box full of books going, crap, this is still worth 50 cents. So you just had to live with it. But the trade-off is worth it. If you're a specker or a flipper, those type of articles are where you can definitely make some money. So that's about all I got. I don't know if I need to talk more about CBSI, Ben.
No, I was just going to say, as always, appreciate hanging out with you guys. We have fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone in the chat hanging out. It's lively. It always makes in here a little more lively. I still appreciate Rob's wall in a little bit of jealousy, but so
I think you're doing all right, Ben.
Yeah. I think those boxes behind you says it all.
Yeah. And also too, if you guys have Whatnot, don't forget Ben will be doing a live sale at
Right
is it 11:15?
Yep.
11:15 Eastern. 15 minutes from now, I'm gonna go put a cone down, grab another coffee, sell a big stack of Star Wars books starting at $1.
Oh, there you go.
And he has
All right,
good books.
With that being said, Jeff, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, man. If you want to do it right, collect what you like.
Ooh.